David is trapped by his parents' pre-engineering dreams, a path he secretly dreads. Fear of disappointing them keeps him silent until one dinner changes everything. Watch to see how David finds the courage to speak his truth, even when it means facing their disappointment. Learn how honesty can lead to a more authentic life, even if it means changing the answer. David sat quietly at the dinner table, the familiar sounds of cutlery and the fragrant aroma of his mother's cooking filling the air. But tonight, his favorite dishes couldn't tempt him. A tight knot of anxiety had taken root in his chest. The weight of his parents' expectations hung heavy, as they were eager to hear about his progress on the pre-engineering track he secretly dreaded. "How did that physics midterm go, son?" his father asked, his eyes bright with anticipation. David's heart pounded in his chest, each beat a drum of dread. The physics midterm had been brutal, a stark reminder of his struggle. But that grade was just a symptom of a deeper issue, a growing unease he could no longer ignore. For months, David had felt trapped, suffocating under the weight of expectations. It wasn't just the subject itself, but the life that stretched out before him, a path laid out by others. Yet he had never dared to voice his true feelings, paralyzed by the fear of disappointing the people he loved. His mind raced, desperately searching for a safe answer, a way to maintain the fragile peace. "Tough," he began, the lie already forming on his tongue, a familiar shield against the truth. But something inside him rebelled, a quiet voice whispering that honesty might be the only way out. Then a shift occurred. The weight of hiding his true self became heavier than the fear of disappointing his parents. With sudden, terrifying courage, he veered off script, changing his response mid-sentence. "It was tough because I don't think it's what I'm meant to be doing." A heavy silence descended upon the room, thick and suffocating. His father's hopeful smile dissolved, replaced by an expression David hadn't anticipated. A quiet, real disappointment that cut deeper than anger. His mother's voice trembled slightly as she asked, "What are you talking about, David?" The question hung in the air, a mixture of disbelief and worry. He knew this was it, the moment of truth, the point of no return. He took a deep breath, steeling himself for what was to come. For the first time, he spoke the words that had been locked inside him for so long. A confession that felt both terrifying and liberating. He told them about the literature class he loved, the stories that sparked his imagination, the feeling of being truly alive when he was immersed in words. He spoke of his passion, a stark contrast to the dry, logical world of physics. He confessed his fear of disappointing them, of shattering their dreams for his future, but he also articulated his need to find a life that felt authentic, a path that resonated with his soul, not just one that met their expectations. The remainder of the dinner was strained, filled with unspoken questions and uncertain glances. The warm, familiar atmosphere had been replaced by a heavy tension, a palpable sense of unease. There was no instant fix, no immediate approval. His parents listened, but their faces remained etched with concern. The path ahead was uncertain, shrouded in doubt and apprehension. Driving back to campus that night, the knot in his stomach had loosened, replaced by a flicker of something new. It wasn't joy, not yet, but a fragile hope born from honesty. The road ahead was still unclear, the future uncertain, but David had taken the first step toward living a life that was true to himself, a life defined by his own passions and choices. He understood now that facing his greatest fear, the fear of disappointing his parents, wasn't the end of his journey, but the beginning of one that was truly his own. The next day, David went to his literature class with a renewed sense of purpose. The professor's words resonated deeply, filling him with a sense of belonging he hadn't felt before. He found solace in the stories they read, the characters that mirrored his own struggles, the themes that explored the complexities of life. He realized he wasn't alone in his search for identity and purpose. That evening, his parents called. Their voices were tentative, but they listened as David shared his newfound passion for literature, his desire to explore a different path. They didn't fully understand, but they were willing to listen, to learn, to try to accept his decision. It was a small step, but it was a step in the right direction. Over the next few weeks, David began to explore his interests more deeply. He joined the school newspaper, writing articles and expressing his opinions. He discovered a passion for storytelling, a desire to share his voice with the world. He felt a sense of purpose he had never experienced before. His parents, though still hesitant, started to see the change in him. They saw his passion, his enthusiasm, his newfound sense of self. They began to realize that his happiness was more important than their expectations, that his success was defined by his own terms. David continued to pursue his passion, honing his writing skills and exploring his creativity. He found his voice, his purpose, his true self. He learned that it's okay to change your answer, to deviate from the plan, to forge your own path, even if it's scary and uncertain. He discovered that the greatest success comes not from meeting expectations, but from living a life that is authentic and true to yourself. And that the love and support of your family will still be there, even when you change your answer, even when you choose a different path. David continued to grow as a writer, publishing his stories and inspiring others to follow their dreams. He found his calling and was living the life he was meant to live. His journey wasn't easy, but he had the courage to change his answer and follow his heart. And in doing so, he discovered his true potential and the joy of living authentically. And that is how David's changed answer led him to a life of fulfillment, proving that sometimes the greatest adventures begin when we dare to be true to ourselves.